Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. This is August the 1st. I am Keisha. I'm one half of the host of the Regal Mindset podcast show. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. This is Joy, the coach. I am the other half of the Regal Mindset Show, and we're over half through the year.
Listen, way over.
You said August 1st, and it just like hit me. Like,
Yeah,
we're almost at the end. It's time for Christmas.
yeah. Listen, we got big plans for Christmas, but I do want to send a shout out to my second oldest granddaughter. She's 5 today. So happy birthday,
Oh, happy
Kiyomi.
birthday.
Yes, she's so beautiful and just 5, man. Okay,
Wow.
we ain't gonna, yeah, we just
You
gonna say
ready to
happy
cry?
fifth birthday. No, I wasn't gonna cry, but it's just like, man, it was like just yesterday. It seemed like she was one. Like, how you get the 5 so quick?
Right.
Slow
Right.
down. Yeah. But listen, no, listen. Well, this also can apply to her, right? And we try to teach
Mm-hmm.
grandkids and the kids. Listen, they gonna let's hear what they want to hear.
Right.
But we talking about broke no more. Period.
Ooh.
Just put that in your spirit. Broke
Broke
no more.
no
Actually,
more.
type that in the comments. Broke no more. Because this
Broke
is it.
no
We ain't
more.
doing it at all.
We talking about no more. N-O,
Okay?
no more.
At all. So yeah, so this is a part of our finance, right? So we've got 3 pillars. We talked to you guys about it before, right? So this platform itself, we're dedicating it to the entire well-being of the LGBT community, right? So you'll hear us say that. And some of the 3 pillars that we have are family, finance, mental, and physical health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what our goal is to try to redirect or reformat, restructure your brain, your thought process, your mentality, your mindset into thinking what family, what finance, what mental and physical health would look like differently if we make different choices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tonight's conversation gonna be dope. We're talking about money moolah,
Yeah.
you know? And this is not the first time we've talked about it, right? So
Right.
this really stems on the behaviors and the thought process and how maybe money was introduced to us as children, as kids, and what our relationship is like with money, right? And I do believe that money, that when you have a negative relationship with money, then that affects your ability to receive and interact with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that.
Yeah.
So what's your experience with money? Or let's start with as a child, not now. Let's talk about as a child.
Yeah. As a child, money was evil.
Wow.
Money was evil. Money, because, in the church, the
Yeah.
love of money is the root of all evil. So you didn't want to be the root of evil. We have to live modest and lowly like Jesus. I was in the church where you was covered up and you just looked holy. The broker you were, the closer you was to God. And so that was it. Like if
Yeah.
you desired anything, any riches, you were literally not of God. So
Yeah.
that was it. Then to be raised in a house where it was always a struggle, you were always on survival mode. That pushed me to create a, I guess, trauma defense or
Okay.
trauma response of having 15 jobs, working
Mm.
like a Jamaican, making sure I never have that, I won't be broke again. I never this, I never that. Which, when I grew up, now that I'm in a different place, yeah, that trauma response is still a scarcity mindset,
Mm.
just as much as believing that the broker you are, the closer you are to God. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've said multiple times about even how the scriptures was used against us, especially with tithe and offering. You curse with the curse. This is having with a man rob God. And then now I'm like, he wasn't even talking to us. He was talking to the priest that was stealing in chapter 2. Like, so it was money wasn't it. And so it wasn't a good conversation because no one taught us about finances. They didn't taught us about balancing the checkbook. We wasn't taught about credit cards. We wasn't taught about anything. I mean, half of us mamas had credit cards and bills in our name, in their
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So it's like I had a whole phone bill in 1991 when I was 13.
Yeah. I'm right there with
So that's So did you have those similar experiences?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not necessarily the same in terms of from the religious aspect of it, right? So my grandmother was also she was an evangelist. My grandfather's a deacon when they were alive, and my mom, of course, obviously was in the church as well. They did not force upon us those beliefs. What was our norm, or what I should say was my experience, was money was tight. Money was
Hmm.
always it was always the response of I can't afford it. So for me,
Mm.
I just stopped asking because I already knew the answer.
Right.
And what developed internally for me, and I still carry this today, I'm not going to ask you for nothing,
Right.
right? I'm not going to ask you.
Oh
I'm going
yeah.
to go get it. I'm going to go make it myself. That way I'm more independent. I am more in control of
Hmm.
what my life looks like versus me asking or looking for you to be responsible for that.
So you remove the expectation.
Yes.
Got
Right
it.
or wrong, but that's yes, that's what it was as a kid up until today.
I will agree. And I went through, you know, when I'm going through counseling,
Hmm.
everybody should need it, but
Oh,
that
sure.
was one of the things that I uncovered was like I still struggle with that. I don't know how to, well, I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I did not know because I've always had me. Me wasn't going to let me down.
Okay. At
Me was going
all.
to always be there, right? So I never had to ask anyone for anything, not at all.
Yeah.
So, growing up with that whole thought and that idea is a trauma response because we all need, somebody at some point.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be by themselves. But how do you pivot from that, right? How do you pivot from that when that's all you know and you're like 50 years, 53 years in life?
So my answer to that is that it takes growth, right? And it changes, or it takes a shift in your mindset, right? So now today, right? If my mother was alive, let me not say that, right? Because I had an exchange or a conversation with the older cousin of mine during family reunion this year, and she said something to the effect of, "Well, I have to wait till I get paid in order to do something."
Mm-hmm.
And my immediate response was, "Stop that!
Mm,
You don't change this behavior right now. You ain't got to wait till you get paid. What is it that you need?" And she told me what it was she need, and I gave it to her. I said,
got it.
You have to understand that words have power, and that you are in control of what it is that you attract. I'm gonna spend this money because I know God gonna replace it. I'm gonna
Right,
circulate this cash because I know I'm gonna get it back.
right. But
Change
a
the
lot of
language, and you
people,
change the situation.
but now we know that.
Yes, now.
So dealing with people that are hearing it, maybe for the
Hmm.
first time, or maybe this conversation is confirmation,
Hmm.
what can we say the first steps to making that conversation change?
I think, and that's a great question, Coach. I think coming from a place of parenting, right? So even for myself, and as I mentioned, we've had conversations, with the adult kids, as they grew up. I don't know that we changed their mindset, but I will say, being conscious of it now, it's really removing the scarcity of the position of money in terms of what it does. Yes, it's great to have, but it's not the end all be all, right? It can
Right.
provide some things for you, some luxuries, some necessities, but I'm more concerned about, are you a good person to, are you a good person to yourself? Are you a good member of your family? Are you a good productive person within your community? And
Hmm.
all of the things that you desire and that you want out of life, those things will come, but I don't money is not everything. And I don't want to instill in them that every time we go to the store you have to get something.
Right. Right.
So that's where I am, and that's what I teach them, or the grandkids rather.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Because I know as parents, sometimes we overcompensate
Yes, we do.
for what we didn't have. We were like, we make sure our children don't have it. And it's like they didn't deserve it. So
Yeah.
I'm the one that hurt. Why is they getting what, but I think now in it when you start seeing money, and this takes maturity. When you start seeing money as a person,
Mm,
money as an energy, you deal with it different. And
okay.
then you won't put such high value on it because if money is energy and your energy, that means you and money are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So the same value you put on yourself, the same value you put on someone else is the value of money. So you would treat it different. You would
Okay.
treat it with more respect because you want to be treated more with respect.
Yeah.
You would talk gentle to yourself.
Yeah.
You won't get so anxious when you're releasing a dollar.
Yeah.
You won't see bills as a burden. You would see that's like you said, I'm giving it out because I know it's going to come back because I always come back home.
Yeah.
And so when you start repositioning it, it will help the inner child in you. It will actually start showing you where the defects in your inner child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because when I went through that pivotal moment of understanding, my inner child was I was always on self defense.
Mm,
So like, me and my dad, we are absolutely great, wonderful. But I do recall a moment when it was a time where he drunk a lot, so he was an
okay.
alcoholic, and him and my mom was separated, and I called him to get me something for school or something, and he told me no.
Mm-hmm.
Then I called my granddaddy, told my granddaddy his dad. My granddaddy called and cussed him out. He called back. Why you call your granddaddy? I was like, because you said no. And so after the end of that call, he told me, he said, anytime you ever need anything, make me your last choice.
Yeah.
That set with me every day of my life from that moment on. So in my spiritual growth, I didn't know what it felt like to depend on a man,
Okay.
to depend on a father, and then in church, he's your father. We
Yes.
see God as a man. Now I see him as a God as a woman too, but before I see God as a man. So it's like I have man issues because I don't trust him. So
Mm-hmm.
how can I truly say I love God and he is this patriarch in my life and the main patriarch told me to make sure I don't depend on him.
Yeah.
You see, so it was a lot.
Yeah.
And to begin to bring that up. Then dealing with my mom being, just making it or not making it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm okay with I got 10 packs of noodles, so I know I'll make sure I never go home
Yeah.
because I know what it feels like to be hungry as a child.
Yeah.
So it was actually just recently I went fishing and I had this pivotal moment. Me and God had this great conversation, and I called Shay and I said, I had a food cabinet, and I told her I said, go in my food cabinet, don't touch nothing else. But I've had this stuff in here for years,
Okay.
literally years. I said, go to the very top shelf and call me when you're up so I can watch you get rid of it. Because anybody touch my stuff sends me into a panic because
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
mine. So I had to watch her take it out and throw it away without regard, without question, without, okay, maybe I need that. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't need that. And that was a opening moment for me to be able to release because why am I hoarding this food? Because I used to be hungry.
Yeah. Food
I felt
insecurity.
I yeah, I felt like I would never have anything else. So if I had it now and saved it up, but again, that's scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
a poverty mindset, and a trauma response.
And also, if I could add to that, is you were trying to nurture and take care of little joy as an adult.
Exactly. As
That's
an
what you were
adult.
doing. Yeah. And
As
you
an
know
adult.
what? I'll be honest and say that I think a lot of people do that even today. Not just taking care of the little versions of themselves, but I think it's important to also reflect on certain family dynamics, right? So we are
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ, right? And a lot of our
Right.
listeners are as well. So sometimes there's not a man in the house, right? And you have to rely on either a parent, which is more than likely the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then in some cases, or our case, it's two women, right? So
Right.
I'm curious to understand, like, in your opinion, if there's two women and you're coming from a place where you don't necessarily trust men, did that also add to you as a dominant or masculine and imperative person, making sure or ensuring that you're providing for for yourself and your family? Did that contribute? Okay,
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Because I had to position myself to be everything I didn't have.
Yes.
So I didn't have that provider or that provision.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure my family has that. So that's the way I showed up. But it was exhibited or created in my head as a man,
Mm,
not knowing that a female could occupy that space and it's still safe. You don't have to exhibit man like traits to be a provider, to
yeah.
be a caretaker. I mean, and I think that's where we get into that making, taking God out of gender. Because when we realize he's male and female and
Mm-hmm.
both can have the same strengths, the same efforts and everything, and it helped me heal that part of having a man issue. And no, and I want to make sure everybody's, this didn't make me a lesbian. No,
Good point.
that did not make me a lesbian. That ain't got nothing to do with who I choose to hump on.
Right.
But when you're when you're raised in a society of roles, they make you pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, financially, it's the man that's supposed to bring in the money.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
But it's not until I embraced my divine femininity that made me see myself more of the provider than if I was in the persona of a man.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't want to be a man. I'm talking about the role that is portrayed to that gender.
Good point.
It pushed me into that space and it was easier to become a provider than it was to receive because then that was another issue. I couldn't receive nothing.
Mm.
Couldn't receive a compliment.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
And it starts as a child.
Yeah.
When you're not told you're pretty enough or told you're good enough, or somebody say, "Oh, that's a cute outfit. Oh, I got this thing from Target." Oh, I didn't ask you that. I said it was a cute outfit. We wasn't taught to accept because I think it goes back to even the slave days. Because if you thought you was too high and mighty, or if you thought too much of yourself, or if you showed them any type of esteem about yourself, or even the fact that you could read, it
Mm.
was always some detriment that came behind it. So we were taught to play dumb, to lower yourself. Don't let the white person make you, see that you know more. So as a child, that trickled down, and then our parents did the same thing, and they
Yeah.
just know they was mimicking that whole slavery mentality. They didn't know they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I agree with everything that you said. I think also it's important to add that the habits that I think sometimes our parents had and how we relate again today as adults uh, is just our inner child, or it was just our inner child coping with the fact that mommy doesn't have it, or dad said no, or I can't give it to you. I have to see what my check look like. I've heard that
Yeah.
many
You know
times.
what that check gonna look like.
Just tell me no now.
Exactly.
But that was and I think we developed those habits and behaviors within ourselves, and not that it was ours, right? But we just carried it because one, we didn't know any better, right?
Right.
And we just conditioned ourselves to be able to say, not that I don't know that ever said to myself, or if it's conscious or unconscious, I don't deserve it. It's just that I didn't necessarily want to depend externally. It was internally that I know I could count on. I know I have the drive. I know I have the skills. I know I have the ability to make multiple streams of income. I will never be broke. Just like broke no more.
Yeah.
So that's just a lot.
But like how you said, it is a subconscious thought of not deserving. Because if you deserve something, it's given to you freely, just
Okay.
the who you are. Like Abby don't have to ask for food. Your parent, your mother is gonna make sure you eat
Yeah.
whatever you ask for. You deserve that because you're my child. So subconsciously, all of us, I believe, who have had some type of money issue didn't feel like you deserved it because it was a struggle to get it.
Okay.
It was hard. It was a hard task. Is I can't afford it, or I don't have McDonald's money. First of all, a Happy Meal was 99 cents back then. You had McDonald's money. Now they like $6. Now I can really say,
Yeah.
do they got McDonald's money? But
Yeah.
it's like when you get older, you're like, hold on, wait a minute. Gas, I could fill up the car for $5. Are you telling me? So it's like now you're getting the it's like what would you didn't have money. I'd rather you have said, we don't have money for that today versus I don't have McDonald's money. So that
Mm-hmm.
means never an option.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do you think it's important for them to be transparent about it though?
absolutely, because it
Okay.
would make me understand money a little bit different
Gotcha.
versus thinking you never got it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Rather, we don't have it this week, but we'll see what we can do about it next week.
Sure.
It helped me set an expectation that there's still a possibility.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Versus being told we don't got it, and then you just grow up thinking you ain't got it.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. I got you. So, and this is a bad habit that I have. I'm just gonna say this is what it is. Okay. So, smack me across the hand, whatever you want to do. But so when I take the when I take the kids to the store or to McDonald's, right? They know McDonald's. They can't even read, but they know where McDonald's
Right.
at. I let them get what they want to get, right? So my wife or sometimes their parents may take them and they get a Happy Meal, maybe two to share amongst the three of them because they, money is a little tight for them. But I don't. They know the difference, right? And I don't. And maybe I do need to correct that. I do need to correct that. Listen, yes, we could go to McDonald's and we're going to get the things that you want to get, but understand that when you're with other people, whether it's your godmom, whether it's your mom or your dad, whoever, they may not always have the income or the means to be able to
Right.
get you McDonald's.
Right.
Ultimately, their goal is to make sure you eat. So I need to correct that behavior myself, and I let them pick. If they want to go to McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, wherever they want to go. If they want to go to Longhorn Steak, we can go to Longhorn Steak.
Right. Right.
So, but I do need to reiterate that just because we're going, everybody may not have the same means of income, right? We just want to make sure you eat.
I get that. I think the way I curve that because I don't say no.
Okay.
Because my our kids are not McDonald's kids.
Okay.
They're Chipotle, Chick-fil-A kids. And so if typically if they go on with somebody, they typically get it for them anyway. But if they don't, I kind of navigate the conversation and I make sure I send the money with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, and this and you can challenge me on how you want this way I raise my kids. I define rich and wealthy to my children.
Okay. Your mic went out. Your mic went out. Nope. Can't hear you. I'm gonna wait till you get your audio together. But I understand what you're saying, and I think that's a very important point too, right? We have to understand and distinguish the difference between rich and wealthy and what that looks like for them because they're gonna also have friends, right? Who may not have the same pockets or the same level of income and flexibility in that income than their friends, right? So that's important as well. Um, I'm a I'm gonna wait till you get your audio together. But just like so, for example, right? There's some other topics or conversations that I want to add to the broke no more, right? Here's a scenario. So a mom, she sometimes, and I have done it myself, we overspend to make up for when we may not have had it, right? There's certain seasons, certain times of the year where finances are better than other years, right? For me personally, is it back?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
I see. I hear you. Go ahead. You were going to define wealthy and rich.
So, because we teach our children about finances, we teach them how to respect money, honor money, understand about giving. We're in a different type of conversation with them, how to make sure they wording money correctly and utilizing it. And so my daughter tell me, aren't we rich? Absolutely, because I define what rich and wealthy looks like. So if somebody else say, "Oh, you rich," they may think, "Oh, you got $1 million in the bank." That's not necessarily true. But to my daughter, how we define rich to her makes her always feel and in that mindset that wealth is available
Mm,
to her at any, that she's open to every level of abundance.
okay. I
Something
love that.
that when we're told we you can't have it, we don't have it, we don't have enough, that opened us up to poverty.
Okay.
Even if I feel like even if parents would tell us that we were wealthy, but but introduced, I mean, but gave us little, we would still think we were wealthy.
Okay.
And I think that is the biggest difference of the mindset versus to the actuality.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, 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 you're good. So, and that's a great way to introduce that conversation so that they are familiar with having conversations around money, right? Let me say that. So I would encourage parents to make sure that you define what wealth and rich is to your kids. So again, they're not afraid of talking about money. I was explaining that sometimes moms will overspend at particular times of the year, specifically maybe holidays, right? And versus other times, and it could be because there was a hardship during maybe their birthday, and so you'll make it up to them for Christmas or whatever, right? And so that's not necessary, in my opinion, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it comes with a conversation, right?
Right.
Listen, if I can't get this for your birthday, this is what we can do. We'll make some provisions in terms of the budget so that we can make sure that these things happen for you later on. Are you cool
Right.
with that? And also mention, sometimes in life, this is how you have to navigate finances, right? You want to make sure that things you're responsible for are taken care of, and then you can go to the things that you want to have or you desire to have just out of life.
And I think that's big because children got to, like you said, being responsible.
Yeah,
You're not just because. If I've asked you 15 times to clean your room, you don't ask me because you have responsibilities as well.
yeah,
And if there's a problem, no, you're not getting it. And I'm okay with that because I know you can get it, but you're not getting it because you didn't earn it.
yeah.
You have to get a job. Your job is to be my kid and do well in school. That's the only two things you got to do. So, like even kids who don't do well in school, you only got one job.
Okay.
You're not out there working. Your job is to do the best you can to graduate and to do the best grades. I don't want you just to graduate. I need you to graduate with some good grades.
Yeah.
And then I want you to have a plan what you're doing afterwards because I'm making sure that I take care of everything else. So you
Yeah.
do have a job. So I don't think that they are should be rewarded just because. Because like we go overboard, especially black people for Christmas, prom, birthdays, and I'm like, yeah, what hoop you gonna jump through next year?
Yeah. I
Like
agree.
now I didn't go to prom because we didn't believe in proms, but I see some of these kids now. I'm like, they coming in helicopters. Now some of
Yeah.
this I like it, but still it's like you doing the most.
Yeah.
Celebrate your child, don't get me wrong. But if I can't tell you how to use your money. I just feel that that's a lot, especially if your child ain't straight A's.
True.
If your child is a basic kid, they ain't getting no Rolls Royce. You better go drop them off.
In the Nissan Sentra.
Huh.
Listen, it is what it is. I will admit, there are times when we did go overboard. it- we did. That's just what it is. But I also want to say that a lot of times when moms they overspend, whether it's for a particular time frame because of lack thereof, that sometimes can create the trauma from lack of like the parent feeling guilty and
Hmm.
operating out of guilt, right? Which is like we talked about earlier. Even though maybe my mom would have said, no, we don't have it right now. We got to wait till I get paid or what have you. Or in your case, when your father said no, my father had the same concept one time. He's like, I asked him for $1. He said, well, every time you see me, you ain't going to get $1. Bet. I won't ask you for nothing else. And I haven't
Right,
asked you for anything else. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
I think, again, for me, that was a trauma. There was a trauma associated with that lack of your ability to
Provide. Yeah,
provide. Yeah. It even hurts saying that. Like, man,
but
yeah,
again, that goes back to that subconscious thinking that I don't deserve it.
yeah,
So you're trying to manifest or you're trying to pull something, call those things that are not, you're trying to operate spiritually. It's hard because you don't really feel you deserve it. Because in church, we pray to a God that never showed up.
yeah,
And you're hurting, something happened, you're broken, you're hungry, and they tell you to pray. That's a hard thing to overcome when I'm hungry.
mm-hmm,
So I'm talking to my church people because that's how it was. Everything was prayer.
yeah,
I'm sitting there like we're getting put out prayer. So so in that mindset and that feeling, you feel like you're so the worst thing God could ever make because you don't have, or you're the worst thing God can make because every time you cry, He don't answer,
mm,
and it puts that undeserved. So how do we change that to make sure now that we have a better understanding? Is to make our children feel and know that they deserve everything good.
yeah,
Are there consequences to your actions? Absolutely. But as long as you with me, you deserve everything good because that's the view you have to have of the universe. I
yeah,
deserve because I exist.
yeah. Well, so all of that, I agree, and that's great. And I want people to really spend some time with that and really digest and process what that means.
Hmm.
In addition to creating that trauma and that trauma response, right? How does it affect the kids, right? So I did some research, and in terms of how that might show up in a kid, right? Let's say a younger kid, young adult, is they associate love with an excess of spending and over giving. That's me.
Yeah. So we equate love to money.
At times, yes, yes,
I get that.
yeah,
I get because that is a love language,
yeah, yeah,
but but it can be an unhealed love
and
language.
unhealthy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
because it's like you're trying to give to get somebody's attention.
Yeah,
And I've shared this before. That was my mom's love language, is gift giving. She
yeah,
didn't love her until you gave her something.
yeah.
And I've heard love you, but I've never heard I love you because you're my daughter. I
Okay.
knew she loved me,
Yeah,
but but the only way that I felt like she paid attention to me was giving her gifts.
yeah,
And we have to change that
yeah,
because it's like, am I giving you this because I just absolutely want you to have it? Or am I giving this because I expect something in return? And you
yeah,
got to check yourself.
yeah, yeah,
And the same thing with your children because, as a kid, you know how somebody tell me, well, I ain't gonna be your friend if you ain't gonna do this. That builds in here.
yeah. It does.
And that's that inner child that's not able to function without saying compromising or settling. You're like, no, stand fat foot, you don't want it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I want to, it's two things I want to add to that, right? So, first thing is I'm also doing some shadow work around that, right? In terms of me personally, why I do certain things or why I attract certain things in terms of how I see myself, right? And the type of energy I like to be around. And you're absolutely right. A lot of it came from some trauma that I had as a child that was unaddressed, and how it shows up as an adult looks very different, right? So I'm gonna put a pin on that. But the other part of, in terms of when moms overcompensate for hardship times, is a new approach that we want to suggest, right? Because not only are we going to give you the problem, we're going to give you a scenario, what it looks like. We also want to offer you a solution, right? The solution they suggest is to start traditions that are rooted in time, spending time together, and relating that to, okay, we may not have the funds that we would like right now, or we can't, do some of the things that you're asking to do, but we can definitely spend some time together.
Right,
And doing like movie nights, handwritten notes, things like that. That's going to create bonds and teach connections that outweigh tangible things all day long.
right.
Period. So I just wanted to add that as well.
No, you hit the nail on the head. You
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head with that because people don't value time. So it's like, well, I've been working all these hours trying to make sure you have. When that child really just wants you to sit there and eat some popcorn that y'all went and bought from the Dollar Tree together
Yeah.
and watch The Lion King.
Yeah. Or
But
how
you,
about you say that too, though? Because
yeah,
again, you want them to understand that money does not grow off trees, So
right.
this is why we're doing that.
But it's about creating. I don't have to tell you how much it costs.
Uh
Same
huh.
thing I just said about make sure my daughter has the mindset of wealth and riches. I don't have to put a dollar value on that.
Yeah.
You're wealthy because you got family that loves you and spend time with you. You're
Exactly.
wealthy because we can go into the store and I can, take her to the Dollar Tree and let her wild out for $5.
Okay.
To her, that's big.
Yeah.
Rose, it's going to be in her mind that, oh, I was able to get anything I want when I know for a fact that we went to the Dollar Tree. So it's about creating that mindset. If and some parents, because you're frustrated that you can't do all what you want to do,
Yeah. That
you
guilt.
diminish the small things. Sometimes they really just want to go up to the park and play. But because you can't do this and do that, you're frustrated and you taking that moment away from them when they're going to value and remember.
Yeah.
They're going to remember the part before they remember that toy you bought them for Christmas that they ain't played with no more.
They sure do.
So you have to, so as a parent, healing our inner child, we have to learn what money looks like. And it's not currency only. It's time, it's energy, it's
Mm-hmm.
all. So, and it's what you created.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I've seen people that are so happy, which, and like the people that live nomadically, you
Mm-hmm.
know, live in a van, they travel, they so happy. And we're like, well, I got to have a house. I got to have that. In your head, that is what money looks like. That you
Yeah.
got to. But then people like, but I ain't paying your mortgage though. So it's I wanted to bring up one of the questions. Hold on.
Sure.
Um, is your budget punishing or protecting?
I love that one. Whew, that's a lot, man.
That's a lot because I don't do budgets. And I'm gonna tell you,
Ooh, you about to start a fight.
yeah. The reason why I don't do budgets is because until I see budget having a more healthy context around it,
Okay.
it's a trigger word.
Huh. For you?
Yeah, for me, it's a trigger word. It's like debt can be a trigger word. So like you sit with it and somebody say debt and you kind of feel a tinge, that's a trigger.
I got you.
But we
Yeah.
didn't learn that some debt is good. We know is debt is bad,
True.
but there's some good debt.
Yeah.
So you got a budget. To me, you're telling me to restrict everything and put everything else primary, other than, like you say, I want to be able to go out to the movies, or any softness in my life, because
Sure.
I put 80% towards this and I only got 3%. No, that so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna allocate my money to its necessary obligations.
Mm.
It's rewording,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not budgeting, because budgeting in my head restricts me from enjoying anything that I've worked for.
I
Because
get
all
that.
I'm thinking about budgeting is paying bills.
Yeah.
I'm not budgeting a vacation.
Yeah. I get
So,
that.
so when I talk to people in a coaching concept and we're talking about money, I
Yeah.
sit and call out words to see how they respond to it, because then that's a trigger word for you.
Okay.
And we have to change how your body responds to that word, how your mind responds to that word. And budget was a trigger word for me. I
Yeah.
never had a budget. Now, granted, on the bad side, in the beginning, well, I was free willing nil. I wasn't keeping an eye on nothing.
Come on, Willie.
Listen, I was just gone because I knew it was going to be there come Friday.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't have to. But then when I stopped getting paid every week and getting paid by a month, it was like, okay, hold on. Let me make sure stuff is where it.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, I know that I have a mortgage. I know I have a car note, and I'm feeling good about that because I'm enjoying my house. I'm enjoying my car. So when I pay, excuse me, when I circulate my car note money, I know it's going to return to me because my car is going to crank up. So that is the return that I'm getting for what I put out. So when you got to think about that with your
Good
light bill.
analogy. Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm able to pay this light bill because I'm able to turn my lights on. It's a circle. I know I'm receiving, therefore I can give out because I'm receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm allocating because I know those are my responsibilities. I'm allocating money towards it, but I'm not restricted from enjoying anything that I want to. If I want to go out and get an ice cream, I'm going to feel good about that ice cream walking down on the city dock, because I know that my joy, my softness is included in those allocations.
Yeah. Absolutely. So would it feel better if we position it, or also add to our language financial planning, a plan
Yeah,
that feels safe?
you got to feel safe. I like that.
Yeah. So I think that would work. And for me, as I'm explaining again to a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, because they have money too, right? And we ask them, listen, okay, if you go to the store, you can spend a percentage, right? You can spend a little bit of the money because something else may happen later, and you're going to need to access this group of money, right? Or this amount of money. And if we need to give you a couple dollars more, then we could do that. But
Right.
yeah, that conversation feels better if we use, for me, if we say, let's make a financial plan, right? You can spend X amount of dollars and we're not going to worry about it, but we need to put some away because trust and believe is going to rain.
Right. But the way you're presenting it is not putting a fear that something bad is always going to be happening.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because if a child or anybody that's budgeting or creating an expense record, when they think, well, this is for rainy day, your mind is always going to be on that rainy day, which means you're going to draw rainy day.
Mm,
So you have to figure out a way to how to put that away to where it's not in your view as a just in case fund.
okay.
So like you go on your bank account, I know Allie, I can name my savings account Christmas fund.
Okay.
So when I'm putting money in there, whether I use it for Christmas or not, it's looking like I'm making a goal so I can make sure Christmas is good, not rainy day, because in my head, I'm waiting for something bad to happen.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's all about rewording it. Same,
Sure.
same concept,
Yeah.
same thought, same pattern, but I'm not putting it away thinking, well, I got this just in case something go bad, because you're going to automatically always bring up something bad. And it's
Right.
draw something bad.
Right. Good point. Good point. Yeah. I think that's another thing that I took from childhood because my grandparents always, my grandmother had multiple purses and it was money in all of them. I don't know what the different purses was for.
Money everywhere.
But right, yeah. So in her mind, if she spent whatever was in one purse, she didn't worry about it because she had some other purses somewhere that had some coins or some dollars or whatever in it. And she always said, she said, make sure you have rainy day money. Right. So in my mind, I'm just planning because something's gonna happen at some point, right?
Right.
And when it is, I'm prepared. And in my thought process in planning and taking care of, especially being responsible for a significant other, a wife and kids, listen, I do not want to be caught with my pants down, right? So for me, in my mind, it was imperative to make sure if and when something happens, you good. Or
Right.
even if you may not have all of it, you know where you can go get it from. If I have
Right.
to pull it out of my TSP, if I have to pull it from here, from this checking account, this savings account, or what have you. And that's another reason I have multiple checking accounts, right? I have, I don't know how many checking accounts and savings account, and I put money in different ones just because I want to make sure that I'm able to live the life that I want to live.
Right. So you're pretty much diversifying it to ensure that there are multiple, accounts that you can pull from. And I get that
Yeah,
100,000.
yeah,
I however, when you're dealing with people that still deal in the negative connotation about it,
yeah,
I know for me, the reason why a rainy day fund didn't work for me is because it was always raining. That's where I felt.
yeah.
I remember one year I had to pull from everything I had. And it was like, wait a minute. Because I'm thinking, because in my head, I'm already calculated. When you're manifesting and aligning with your higher self, you have to be open to allowing the universe to circulate it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's done by your own hands. It's you're creating resistance. It's a lot. So while the money is there and I know that I can pull it out because I put it in there, it was always quick to leave. That wasn't telling the universe that I'm reliant on the universe for repaying me for my good that I put out. I know I did it, so I can depend on me. So to me, not saying this happened with everybody, to me, it was more of me learning to trust outside of myself.
Mm-hmm.
That rainy day money, oh, them 401ks got sucked up real quick. And got sucked up real quick because I'm dependent on me. I put that money there. God didn't put that money there. I
Yeah.
did. But when it got to the point where it wasn't there, like what 2020, 2021, when it wasn't there no more, oh, a sister had to find all kind of faith to believe because I couldn't depend on anything that I could reach out for. But a house didn't get taken.
But
I
what if
like,
he did that?
huh?
What if he did that for you so that you
What?
can only rely on him?
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
what I feel. I
Okay.
feel that was my learning lesson saying
Yeah.
you need to learn how to rely on me.
Yep. I'm
Because
glad you put that.
if I can do it myself, why do I have to?
Yeah.
You know, and I think some people in religion need to really think about that. If you can do it yourself, you don't need God to get you a car. You know why? Because if you got decent credit, you can get a car on your own.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be using them for that. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But you should be able to use them for things that you absolutely cannot obtain in your humanistic being.
Yeah. 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 Man, listen, you don't know how much you just helped me. Listen, so there's most of you guys know if you follow me on social media. I have other businesses, right? And so there's businesses that in business you require, whether it's equipment, whether it's processes, whether it's trainings, coach, whatever that is, you have to continue to invest in yourself. I
Mhm.
had a particular expense in front of me for one of my businesses that was well beyond anything I ever spent. And my first thought was hesitance, and I said, nope, this is my season. In order for me to grow and for my business to grow, this is necessary.
Right.
So I invested in that, not knowing where it's going to come. I still don't know, and I don't care, and I'm not going to worry about it because I know God is going to provide, just like He
That,
did
oh
hundreds of
my,
other times.
that's it. And it takes a lot to get to that part because
Yes.
I'm able to find a way. But when you say, no, I'm aligned with this because I
Yeah.
believe in
Yep.
vision. I believe in this goal. I know you allowed me to see this goal and have this goal for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm depending on you to continue to show me my path and also make the way.
Yeah.
And we have to keep in mind, people, that it may not drop out of a tree. It may not. It could be an opportunity where somebody say, "Hey, can you do my website?" And they're like, "Yeah, I can do your website for you. How much you gonna charge?" "Oh, don't worry about it. Just give me anything." And they give you $3,000, and that's exactly what you needed to do what you. Opportunities happen.
Listen, you don't know how many times I would just wake up and be like, "That's a check gonna come today." I'm not expecting a check. And would you not know it? A check was in the mail. That has
Right.
happened to me many times.
Because when we realize abundance is everywhere,
Yeah.
people people think abundance comes in only money form, then you will always be lost.
Yeah.
Because abundance is just an increase of anything. So when you're open, so like if I say, okay, I need to generate $50,000, that's my goal right now, is to generate $50,000 this month. I can't say, well, let me go play the lotto because that's the only way I'm gonna get it. I just restricted the universe and how it could send it to me,
Mm-hmm.
or how it to be given to me. Because all I'm thinking is I can get it from my paycheck. Because that was my problem. I'll get the calculator out. If I'm thinking of something big, I get the calculator out real quick and start putting my checks in. Okay, I can take this, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I just said I want this, and I have to be okay with however it comes. Not with I'm gonna take 20 from a check. I could do. I could put it. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. And I'm learning even the more
Yeah. Me
that,
too.
like I said about the whole check thing. Anytime I get anything big or small, I am so grateful for it because I am telling the universe constantly. I don't care if it's 50 cents. I am grateful that you decided to give me that 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I am so open for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it also teaches your children to see to have gratitude
Yeah.
and to see abundance everywhere where it's not always about like especially our older kids, they want these J's and they want this because that's how they see abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm gonna make sure you look good. Now I ain't gonna Burlington Coat Factory all your shoes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that ain't the only way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I could show you how that $249 pair of shoes, but we opened you up a Robinhood account, and I could show you how that $249 can be 400 next month. Which one would you rather have? We
Good
still
point.
same abundance.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
then you take the 200 that you made in Robinhood and go buy the you create the revenue to buy the asset.
Yep. Yep.
That is a concept. You don't buy the asset because it could typically be a liability, the bad debt. The good debt is I teach them how to generate an income, whether it's through property, whether it's through any type of means, and they take the revenue from that, the overflow from that to buy the asset.
Mm-hmm.
And then you teaching your child, your children how to generate money.
Yep.
And because I was going to say this about this topic, and I know we were getting ready to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's I have actually, and I know it's going to shock a lot of people, but I'm not raising my children to work, or excuse me,
Right.
not or excuse me, to get a job.
Gotcha. I understand you. Yeah.
Because if I train them or teach them that get in a job, they're going to be in the same cycle we was at, where we're working for the man and we're never going to get, and we're waiting late in life to spread our wings and our gifts and our talents
Yeah.
that so valuable and can earn and generate revenue because we're so busy clocking in, clocking out.
Yep.
No, I'm not training you to get a job.
I agree.
I'm training you to hone in on your value and let's see how you can monetize on that value.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'll speak for me. I didn't always know that. right? Or I should say, I didn't always look at it in that way. And my thought process, which was beat into me, well, I can't really say it was beat into me, but I thought that the only means to get out of this low income situation, right, that my mom was in, she's in low income housing or whatever, or state funds or whatever you call it. I knew that I needed to get an education. So I went to college, right? So I get to college and I'm looking to make this certain amount of income. Didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. And I did a pivot, right? So I went to the military, did whatever I did there, got out, got some benefits, some educations, and I moved. But my point in saying that, I had to learn a lot of different ways and a lot of different methods to get to where I am today.
Right.
Today, if I'm coaching and teaching someone else, right, just like you said, is that's not the end all be all. You don't have to go and accrue a lot of debt in these universities, right? You
Right.
can, whatever God gave you, whatever skill, whatever means, whatever gifts, you can make a living off of that. Be
You
the
can.
best that you can be.
That's literally getting paid to
Yeah,
exist.
yeah,
That is the meaning of getting paid to exist.
yeah,
Because what if we would have known in the early part of our life when we got a job, and you said how your mom was in that situation, and my mom was in her situation as
yeah,
well. They go get a job just to barely make it. And if we would have known the concept of work and taxes, that I'm paying you to go to work, then I got to pay you the tax for the food. I got to pay off the tax I just paid to get. If I would have knew what I know now, and then I would have said, well, if I started a business, I could offset all of that and generate it. That's why they don't teach us that.
exactly.
You to have the concept of you get a job so that you can be successful. No, that's not the only way to success. Now, are there going to be people that is going to stay in the workforce? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How, whenever.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just, I'm glad that I know it now,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
it show my just like, if you want to go work at corporate America, let me equip you to be the best in corporate America. Because I can't even think of his name, that young CEO for Red Lobster.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
you can be that. I don't want you in the mailroom unless it's a friend of mine's law firm and you're just there as a summer intern getting experience and getting exposure
And networking.
and networking. Because that's what they send their kids to do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't send their kids to earn no money. They're at the golf clubs and at on the golf courses being caddies to big people, because majority of the deals are made on golf courses. And
Mm-hmm.
nobody thinks that's true.
Yeah,
We need to pivot, and we
yeah.
need, you know what? I want you to go out there. Go ahead. And we can't, and I'm gonna say this, and I promise I'm gonna let it go. And we got to keep saying that's white people stuff.
Well, the golf course.
It's a wealth conversation.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
Wealth want to be around wealth people. I mean,
yeah,
wealth want to be around wealth.
yeah.
And those spaces, you're always going to be in the proximity of power. And in order to do that, you need to make sure you position your child into those spaces. That's why we got to name them correctly. Because you don't want your child to be pushed off because their name is Dranika. I'm like, what is a Dranika?
Yeah, true.
I mean, I'm not picking at nobody, but what I'm saying is you got to give them a fair ground unless you want them to stay in your family tradition.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I had a conversation with I was in a room in a training maybe a few weeks ago, and the guy asked, and he said, "Well, what's your biggest bill?" My first immediate thought, "Oh, my mortgage is the biggest bill I have," and everybody else said what they said, and then he's like, "No, I don't care what your mortgage is. It ain't that's not your biggest bill. If you have a job, it's your tax bill." And when he told me that, I went back and looked. I was like, "I'll be a monkey's uncle, man." Let me hurry up and get. That's why I'm so persistent about getting rid of this job.
Exactly.
Y'all draining me, taking up most of my time for coins. They
Take
good coins. I
okay,
don't want,
but
but
look at the time you've traded
yes,
to literally pay tax on what I've earned, tax on possibly future earnings through Medicare and Social Security that I may not get.
Okay, that part.
Then when I go to the store, I still got to pay tax on that.
Yep.
When my house, I had to pay a tax on my house. When I got
Yep.
my car, I had to pay. So I'm taxed on everything that I earn and spend.
Yeah.
But there's a section of people that it's called commerce, where you're not taxed on any of that. It's actually a benefit to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where, and I did a brief live the other day about black capitalism and commerce.
I
They're
wish you would have tagged it.
not there.
Yeah.
We are the consuming end of the economy, and they know that. But when we change the tables on them and say, listen, I'm not paying you no more tax, I'm
Yeah.
writing it like Trump did.
We've been hoodwinked, man.
Because in our heads, that's our American way.
Yeah. Well,
Keep
we
your head,
changing the narrative now.
oh, we changing this bad boy.
Okay. Right quick, fast, and in a hurry.
You ain't getting all the dollars. I'd rather go to Puerto Rico and give you all my dollars.
That's what I'm talking about. Man, listen, this has been a wonderful conversation, man. I love it. We didn't even get to all the stuff we
I
wanted
know.
to talk about. It was so good.
I love it. This was
Man.
because a lot of people need to hone in where the money traumas come from.
Yeah.
Mine was in my childhood, but my money trauma was literally related to my mama.
Okay. I
And
agree.
I had to come to that because that's who I was around the most.
Yeah.
That's who I seen operate in the financial space more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I picked up, what she told me I picked up.
There you go. I think that's a story for a lot of people, actually.
Mhm.
If that's not your story, or if that is your story, let's do this. If that is your story, right, and you got a lot of traumas unknowingly, right, or unintentionally, right, around money and behaviors around money, and it came from your immediate family, drop a fire symbol in the chat, right?
Mhm.
But as always, we wanna say that to keep a regal mindset, continue to stay connected with us. Please like, click, and share. Next week we're talking about finances too, right? The subject will be a little bit different, but make sure you tune in. And if you guys have questions or some things that you want to add to the conversation, by all means, please do so.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to say, Jay?
Now let's keep a regal mindset.